Steam rose from the griddle as I pressed down on a tortilla, the familiar sizzle a melody I'd grown to love. My food truck, La Mesa Moderna, sat parked in its usual spot near Chicago's Merchandise Mart, the morning line already forming despite the November chill. Chef Sophia, Marco, one of my regulars, called out, "Please tell me you made the short rib birria today." I smiled, already reaching for his usual order. The recipe was my grandmother's, perfected over generations in her tiny Guadalajara kitchen, the same recipe my brother Daniel had called street food when I quit my corporate job to start this truck. "Extra cilantro, extra lime," I said, handing Marco his order, "and don't forget to dip." The lunch rush kept me busy until 2 p.m., each order prepared with the same care I'd learned watching Abuela in her kitchen. Not that my family understood. To them, I was still the disappointment, the Stanford MBA who threw away a consulting career to play food truck chef. My phone buzzed as I was cleaning up. "Christina, my younger sister." "Mom's freaking out," she said without preamble. "You're still coming to Thanksgiving, right? Even though Daniel's hosting at his restaurant?" I finished, scrubbing the griddle with perhaps more force than necessary. "Yes, I'll be there." Daniel's restaurant, Rodriguez Modern Kitchen. The elevated Latin cuisine concept he'd launched after stealing 3 of my recipes and rebranding them with fancy plating and $40 price tags. Now he had 4 locations across Chicago's affluent suburbs, each one a testament to what he called refined dining. "He's announcing some big expansion plan," Christina added, "some national franchise deal." I paused my cleaning, thinking of the documents sitting in my office safe, the market analysis, the acquisition reports, the carefully structured deal that would close next week. "Is that so?" "Sophia, please don't start anything. You know how Mom gets when you two fight." "I wouldn't dream of it," I said, smiling at the irony. If they only knew what I'd been building besides my little food truck empire. Thursday arrived cold and clear. I parked my Mercedes, carefully purchased under my holding company's name, 2 blocks from Daniel's flagship restaurant in Lincoln Park. No need to announce my success just yet. The hostess led me through the dining room, all exposed brick and modern art attempting urban authenticity. I recognized dishes passing by, my grandmother's recipes stripped of their soul and garnished with microgreens. "Sophia," my mother's voice carried across the private dining room. "You came." The surprise in her tone stung more than the cold outside. "Of course, Mama." I kissed her cheek, breathing in her familiar perfume. "I wouldn't miss it." Daniel held court at the head of the table, his chef's jacket pristine despite the holiday. "Well, if it isn't the food truck queen," he smirked. "How's the street food business?" I took my seat, smoothing my simple black dress, Chanel. "Not that anyone here would notice. Profitable," I replied simply. He laughed. "Right, because there's so much money in $5 tacos." If he only knew about Nueva Mesa Holdings, the restaurant investment firm I'd built using my food truck profits and business school connections, the company that had spent the last year quietly acquiring struggling restaurant chains across the country. "Actually," Christina interjected, ever the peacemaker, "Sophia's truck won that award last month. What was it called?" "Best Food Concept in Chicago," I supplied, though I'm sure Daniel's heard of it. His restaurants have been nominated 3 years running without winning. Daniel's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, our father raised his glass, a toast, to Daniel's big announcement. "Yes," Daniel's smile returned as he stood. "I'm proud to announce that Rodriguez Modern Kitchen is going national, 20 new locations in the next year, backed by Premier Restaurant Group." Glasses clinked, Mother dabbed at her eyes. I sipped my wine, thinking of the other announcement coming next week, the one that would reveal Nueva Mesa's latest acquisition, Premier Restaurant Group itself. "Now that's real success," my father beamed. "Not just one little truck, but a national brand. Sophia, maybe Daniel could give you some pointers, help you move up from street food." I set down my glass. "Actually, I have some thoughts about scaling restaurant concepts. Would you like to hear them?" "Here we go." Daniel rolled his eyes. "Going to lecture us with your MBA wisdom while serving tacos from a truck?" Well, I kept my voice level. I'd start by reviewing the financials more carefully, especially before signing any major expansion deals. Daniel's smile faltered slightly. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Just that Premier Restaurant Group's market position isn't as strong as their prospectus suggests. Their debt-to-equity ratio is concerning, and their last 3 acquisitions have underperformed significantly." The room went quiet. Daniel stared at me, color rising in his cheeks. "How would you know anything about Premier's financials?" I pulled out my phone, checking the time. The market would be closing soon. And with it, the final details of tomorrow's announcement. Let's just say I pay attention to the industry. Right, he scoffed, but I caught the uncertainty in his voice. While you're serving street food from a truck, you're also analyzing multi-million-dollar restaurant groups? Someone has to, I replied mildly, especially when certain companies are overvaluing their assets and underestimating their competition. Sophia, my mother warned, not today, please. I stood, smoothing my dress. You're right, Mama, today's about family, but Daniel? I met his eyes across the table. You might want to hold off on announcing that expansion, at least until Monday's market opening. Is that a threat? He demanded, standing as well. Not at all, just investment advice from your food truck sister. I left them sitting there, confusion mixing with the holiday wine. In less than 4 days, they'd understand exactly what I'd been building while they mocked my little food truck dreams. The weekend passed in a blur of preparations. My legal team finalized the acquisition documents while I oversaw service from my truck, each perfect dish a reminder of why I'd started this journey in the first place. Monday morning, I wore my power suit to park the truck. The same spot as always, the same line of loyal customers, but today was different. Today, everything would change. At 9 a.m. sharp, my phone buzzed. The news was breaking across every financial and food industry channel. Nueva Mesa Holdings acquires premier restaurant group in surprise takeover. Food truck empire builder revealed as mystery restaurant investor. Stanford MBA turns food truck success into national restaurant empire. I served birria tacos and watched the notifications flood in, calls from family members, industry reporters, rival restaurant groups, but the one I waited for came just before lunch rush. Daniel. I let Daniel's call go to voicemail, focusing instead on the perfect fold of a quesadilla as the lunch crowd gathered. Let him sweat a little. After all, he'd made me wait 3 years for recognition. My sous chef Annie handled the window while I checked the messages flooding my phone. Industry analysts wanting comments, restaurant critics requesting interviews. My mother, tears evident in her voice. Sophia, mihija, why didn't you tell us? Finally, a text from Christina. He's coming to the truck. Dad and Mom too. Heads up. I smiled, adjusting my crisp white chef's coat, the one with Chef Sofia Rodriguez, owner CEO embroidered in subtle gold thread. Perfect timing for the next phase of my plan. Annie, I called out, take over the line. I have a meeting. Right on cue, Daniel's Tesla pulled up, our parents in the back seat. They looked oddly small approaching my truck, like actors who'd wandered onto the wrong stage. What did you do? Daniel demanded, his chef's jacket wrinkled, hair unkempt. Gone was the smooth restaurateur from Thanksgiving dinner. Would you like to discuss this here? I gestured to the growing lunch crowd, many filming with their phones. Or in my office? Your office? He laughed bitterly. In the truck? I pulled out my keys, but not to the truck. No, there. I pointed to the gleaming skyscraper behind us. Nueva Mesa Holdings occupies the top 3 floors. The elevator ride was silent. Daniel kept checking his phone, probably watching his expansion dreams crumble in real time. Our parents stayed close together, my mother clutching her designer purse like a shield. My executive suite offered a stunning view of downtown Chicago, the city that had watched me rise from food truck owner to restaurant mogul. A scale model of my next concept sat on a side table, a modern food hall celebrating authentic street food from around the world. Sit. I gestured to the conference table. We have a lot to discuss. How? Daniel burst out. How did you afford all this? You run a taco truck. I run 30 food trucks across 3 cities, I corrected, taking my seat at the head of the table, each averaging $3,000 a day in sales. Do the math, that Stanford MBA is good for something. My father found his voice. But Premier Restaurant Group, they're worth millions. Billions. Actually, I pulled up the acquisition details on the wall screen, though their valuation was inflated. Poor management, overexpanded too quickly, relied too heavily on trendy concepts without substance. Like stealing recipes and calling them elevated cuisine? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Old wounds still stung. Daniel flinched. Sophia, those recipes, I adapted them. You stole them, I corrected. Abuela's birria, her mole, her chilaquiles, stripped them of their history and charged 10 times what they're worth. I made them better. Better? I stood slowly. Let's look at your numbers, shall we? Your Lincoln Park location sales are down 40% this quarter. The Naperville spot hasn't turned a profit in 8 months. Want to know why? I pulled up more data, customer reviews, social media posts, market research. People want authenticity, Daniel, real food, real stories, real connection, not overpriced imitations. So this is revenge? My father demanded, destroying your brother's dream? No, I pressed a button, and new projections filled the screen. This is salvation. Nueva Mesa Holdings isn't just acquiring Premier, we're transforming it. Starting with Rodriguez Modern Kitchen. Daniel's head snapped up. What does that mean? It means, I slid contracts across the table. I'm offering you a choice. Either sell your restaurants to me outright, or partner with Nueva Mesa to create something authentic, something Abuela would be proud of. Partner? He laughed, but it was hollow. You want me to work for my little sister? I want you to remember who we are, where we came from. I softened my tone. Remember Sunday mornings in Abuela's kitchen? How she taught us that food isn't just ingredients, it's heritage, it's love, it's family? My mother wiped tears from her eyes. Sophia, mi amor, you sound just like her. Because she was right, Mama, and everything I built, the trucks, Nueva Mesa, all of it, is about honoring that legacy. I turned back to Daniel. Your restaurants have good bones, good locations, but they're losing money because they're trying to be something they're not. Let me help you find their soul again. And if I refuse? Then Nueva Mesa acquires them anyway through the Premier deal, and you lose everything. I met his eyes. Your choice, hermano. The silence stretched out, heavy with years of competition and missed opportunities. Finally, Daniel reached for the contracts. Walk me through this partnership idea. The next hour was a crash course in my vision for the future of Rodriguez restaurants, not just modern Latin cuisine, but a celebration of our heritage. Food trucks partnering with fine dining, street food elevated through quality and care, not pretense. This could work, Daniel admitted, studying the projections. But why didn't you tell us, all these years? Would you have listened? I asked quietly, or would you have dismissed it as your little sister playing restaurant with her food truck? He had the grace to look ashamed. Sophia, I'm Dash. Don't apologize. I cut him off. Just do better, starting with Abuela's recipes. Give them the respect they deserve. My parents sat quietly, watching their children navigate this new dynamic. Finally, my father spoke. You built all this yourself? No help? Every penny, every permit, every victory and failure. I smiled slightly. Turns out selling tacos from a truck can be quite profitable if you know what you're doing. The transformation of Rodriguez Modern Kitchen began the next day. We kept the locations but reimagined the concept. Each restaurant would partner with local food trucks, creating a unique dining experience that celebrated street food spirit while maintaining the refinement Daniel loved. The press ate it up. Food truck queen revolutionizes fine dining became sister-brother duo bridges culinary divide became Rodriguez family reshapes restaurant industry. Daniel adapted better than I expected. His skill for presentation complemented my focus on authenticity. Together, we created something neither of us could have achieved alone. I kept my original food truck, still parking it outside the merchandise mart each morning, now wearing designer chef coats and running a restaurant empire, but never forgetting where it all began. A month after the acquisition, we hosted a private dinner, just family, in the kitchen of our first redesigned restaurant. I cooked Abuela's burrito while Daniel plated with his signature flair. Our parents watched, beaming, as their children finally worked together. You know what this means? Christina teased, helping me serve. You can finally afford to attend those fancy charity dinners Daniel always hosted. I laughed, remembering all the condescending invitations. Actually, I bought the venue they use, thought we might turn it into our next food hall. The success was sweet, but the real victory wasn't in the money or the empire. It was in that kitchen, cooking our grandmother's recipes with my brother. Both of us finally understanding that there's no single path to honoring our heritage. Sometimes the biggest dreams start with a simple food truck, and sometimes the best revenge isn't proving them wrong, it's proving yourself right, one perfect taco at a time. The end.